Time to do some washing. Washes. Time to do the washes. Time to do some washes. No, not that. Put down the laundry. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor. Today we're going to do part 2 of the basic wash control series. Today we're going to work on graduated washes. That's where the magic is, so come on, let's go. Everybody say hello to my studio partner Reese. What? Tell them what? Oh yeah, I've created a playlist called Basic Watercolor Painting, I think, or Watercolor Painting Basics, that's it. It just makes it easier if you're a beginner or someone just getting into watercolor to go to those videos which deal with the basics, just the essential things that you need to know. Hopefully that's going to help you out. It's going to make it easier for new subscribers coming in and people who want to go back and find videos that they watched but they want to refer to something that teaches you how to do something basic. So go check out that playlist and I'll be adding to it as we do these basic series. So guys, this week in part 2 of our basic wash control series, we're going to work on graduated washes. They are where the magic really happens, where you can do shading, you can do it over white, you can do it over color as a glaze. You're going to use the techniques in graduated washes literally everywhere. You want to get a brush that's as large as you can and still be able to maintain control of where you put the paint. That allows you to get enough moisture in the body and get a nice juicy wash down. If you use too small a brush, you'll be starved of moisture and it'll be harder to control the wash. So it's just like in a flat wash when you're trying to lay down that perfect flat color. Now I'm going to teach you 2 ways. There's actually probably 3 or 4 different ways to do a graduated wash, but there are 2 main ways that most watercolorists use. I'm going to start out with the one I use the most often, and then I'm going to end up with the secondary one that works better for larger washes. But I start out by loading up my brush with intense color, and it depends, of course, on how much color you want in your wash. You can do very pale ones, but this is going to be pretty intense. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2, start out just like you're doing with the flat wash. Start out with a leading edge up in a corner or from the top. Now basically you want to keep it very wet and juicy, especially on that leading edge. Now right about here I want to start graduating it, so it's a 2-step process. I wet my brush and wash out some of the pigment, and then I start brushing diluted water here. I go back, do it again, rinse out my brush, pat it a little bit, and start bringing that leading edge down. I'm rinsing my brush out again, patting it dry a little bit because I don't want too much moisture down here, and I'm brushing that clear water against that edge, and the pigment starts to pull down. Now I want to go completely to white, so I'm going to wash all the pigment out of my brush, pat out the moisture, and start brushing here and back into that wash. Look at that. See that gradation? We'll go through the steps again. A highly loaded brush of pigment. Nice and juicy wash. And I'm going to take it to where it nearly graduates out to white about halfway down. See this leading edge here? That gives me pigment and paint and fluid that I can pull down into my graduation. Okay, got it there. Alright, and where that's pat dry, I don't want it to start brushing that wetness, and then it pulls it out. See that? Right, and do it again. Oh, I actually hit the edge before it had a chance to come down, but it's alright. Okay, that's my washout again. I'll come down here with water, fill that in, come back up and meet this edge. As long as this still has a sheen to it, I can brush over it. I lost control of that a little bit. It's a bigger area, it's harder. You can see this got too wet and this was already, the sheen was gone, and so the water came up in here and pushed the pigment back. So if I'm saying to myself, okay, that's not a good enough graduated wash for me, so I'm going to repaint this all with water and reclaim it. And you can do that. Sometimes you have to really work at a graduated wash. Rinse my brush out, pat it dry, and come down here, pull out some clear water, let that thing come all the way down to there. Alright, I want to show you this one more time, just because I want to make the steps very clear. I'm thoroughly loading my brush with figure out how much pigment you want in the most intense part of the graduation. Load that up, starting at the top, just as if you're doing a flat wash. Good size brush for wetness control, and I go back and forth over this a few times because immediately that moisture starts soaking in to the paper. Gonna pull the leading edge down a little more, and that's nice and juicy. Now I'm going up to my water, rinsing out. I'm not thoroughly rinsing it out, but I'm rinsing out some of the pigment. Now I'm coming away from the wash. Make sure you understand that. I'm not going right at it, right adjacent to it. I'm coming away and going back and meeting it. And when that wetness meets, it'll pull it down. See? That's an important distinction that I might not have made clear. Now I'm going almost completely clear water, brushing it here. It can't be too wet or it's going to force that water back, or that pigment back. And now it's pulling that down. Now I'm patting my brush almost dry, so I'm going to go up here and dry brush it a little bit just to smooth it out. And you'll learn as you practice this, you can do some of that. And there's enough sheen up here I can still brush it around a little bit, just like you can a flat wash. And work a flat wash while it's still wet. If you have good even wetness, you can work it a little bit. Just don't want to overwork it. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to do larger graduated washes. And actually this technique can be used on these smaller ones, and you may actually prefer this because it's a little more reliable and dependable. And what it is you pre-wet the whole area. So notice I've got a bigger brush. I could actually go with a bigger brush yet. And check out that sheen. You want an even sheen over the whole thing. And I want the little standing puddles to kind of go away. I don't want it puddle wet. So I'm going to wipe my brush a little bit, and that makes my brush just a little drier than the paper, and it pulls it back up, wicks it back up. Perfect. I got a nice even sheen. Now just pick up some of that rich pigment which you've already got. Now keep control of this. When you dab it into the top, it's going to just sprint down towards the bottom. Go back, get more pigment. Push that out across the top. Because the whole thing is wet, you have a lot more extended workability time. So I can go back up here and just add it in layers. I can add more dense pigment and let it flow down. Smooth it down. So now this sheen is starting to go. If I want to manipulate any of that, there's still a little bit of I need my brush blotted out, so it's almost dry. And that's looking pretty good. Well, there you go, guys. That's Basic Wash Control Part 2, the graduated wash. And I'm telling you, graduated washes will take you a long ways in watercolor. It's a very essential technique. So practice it. Practice it on all different kind of shapes. It's really a fun technique to practice, even if you're not doing a painting. It's just really cool to try to get that graduation. Hopefully I made it clear, but if I didn't, if you have any questions or comments about the technique, just put them down there and we'll deal with it. Thanks guys for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you'll subscribe. Hope you'll like if it was help to you. And we will see you next time.